So, we all know that he is the second part of the two-part duo for No Man, but how does he fare on his own? Well, let's find out with his next studio release.
After the storm's patterns formed.
Lost in the Ghostlight by Tim Bowness. So Tim Bowness is a multi-instrumental musician. He is most famously known for being the second half of No Man from Steven Wilson. I always had a fond place for No Man. I love their atmosphere and I love how they're able to just really build a song up. So I was quite excited to see what Tim could do on his own. This is my first album from him. Coming into Tim's latest album of Lost in the Ghostlight, as I said before, this is my first introduction to the band, and I really lost myself within this album. I love the atmosphere, and that's carryover from No Man. But here, right off the get-go, it does sound like it's very, very closely hugging a lot of what has already been discovered within a more mellow side of progressive rock. I am definitely hearing the same stylings of, say, a Pink Floyd or Jethro Tull. A lot of that is very, very potent on this album, to a point where most of the time I could overlook it, but this time I felt like it was just a little too strong. Now, over top of that, the music that is found on here is very beautiful and very, very moving. That was one of the things that I connected with most, was just how moving the music was. I definitely connected with each of the songs on here, even with the callbacks from a lot of those other songs. And it's interesting, listening to a lot of these songs, especially the first song of Words of Yesterday, it reminds me very much of a very early Porcupine Tree. Almost, say, a Signify or a The Sky Moves Sideways type of a feel. We've got that acoustical sound that's really permeating the entire landscape of the field. It also reminds me of the acoustic sets that we used to have back in, say, the Genesis era, of, say, like A Trick of the Tail, or even incorporating some more of the Anthony Phillips styling of picking. And so that is permeated along a lot of the tracks. The Words of Yesterday starts off the album very, very well in laying a foundation of what we can expect for the entire album. It was actually in the second track of Moonshot Manchild that I really connected with it. I feel as though they are channeling the Moonchild from, say, the King Crimson side of things, but I like where this song really goes. Just the groove that we have on here, the playing styles between the drums and the bass, it lays such a fantastic and solid foundation for this song that everything that's built upon it is very, very beautiful. And I love when we come into the chorus. Just Tim's vocalizations is so beautiful, and I love his blending of the vocals with the music that's surrounding it.
Temperature is rising, but you're still feeling cold.
The overall feeling is one of very airy, or very much a discovery type of a sound. I love once we come into like the second half of the song where we have more of the synthesizers permeating the landscape there. Just that accumulation of music that has driven us to this point is so rewarding once we get there. The entire journey has been fantastic, but once we get to more of the end point, it's so beautifully realized that I can't help but gush once we get to it. Now this third song of Kill the Pain That's Killing You, this is one of the first tracks that kind of brought me out of it for how much Tim had relied on sounds from the past. There's a particular guitar sound that was almost blatantly ripped off of a Pink Floyd or David Gilmour sound. And it was the first time that I thought, okay, this is hugging a little bit too close to the mark. The first two songs, I could see the influences, and they were definitely on the sleeves, but the sleeves weren't getting into the instrument. The sleeves are all over the instruments, and it did bring me back a little bit more. This is also the first very present and very in-your-face song. It starts off very kind of bam, and you're really into it, and I don't know, I felt very removed from it because of that. It's still a really great song, but it didn't capture me as much as the first two. Now, finalizing the first half of this album is Nowhere Good to Go. It's much more of an acoustic track. We have the acoustic guitar that's really leading the song through as the main point, but this one, it feels very much like those acoustic tracks from the past. Even though I like the build-up that we have until the midpoint, it does bring me back a little bit, but still, the atmosphere of this track is really what I gravitate to and I did connect with. And I love how it does close off and provide a very good midpoint for this album. Now, the song that I gush and the one that I look forward to every single time, and this is the real highlight on here, is You'll Be the Silence. This track is also the longest track, and it does start the second half of the album, but it took everything that I loved about the first half and really solidified and cemented it here. It has those build-ups from the Moonshot Man-Child, and it has some of the fun atmospheres from Worlds of Yesterday, as well as the Nowhere Good to Go. What I love is that chorus, that catchy chorus, and I just connect with this. I love that concept of they'll be the noise, we'll be the silence. There's something that I gravitate to, and it's very personal as well. Like, everybody else is making all the noise. How can I possibly compete? Especially when they're making such a great outpour of noise. How can I possibly compete with all of that? So I'll be the silence. And yet the music that's going on internally is so beautiful, you can't help but let it gush out.
You'll be the silence, and they can make the noise.
Now the title track of Lost in the Ghost Light. It's a really interesting track. It's the shortest track of not even touching the 2-minute, but I love the soundscape that we have here. It's incorporating very interesting uses of techniques and very interesting sounds. It's not really a fully realized song, but I do enjoy that it does allow us to take a breather, and it does bleed very well with You Wanted to Be Seen. This is a really interesting counter to Will Be the Silence with You Wanted to Be Seen. You know, first is that we'll hang behind and not really talk too much. The next one is, no, you wanted to be seen. The main point that I want to make with this particular track is how much of a IQ feel that it has from it, especially from their, say, mid to late 90s of Ever. The second last track on that album feels very much like it was lifted from there. It has that same kind of build as well, and I feel as if this song were any longer, it probably would have stretched it out, and that is my main critique here. Once this song gets going within that second half of the song into the outro, this is the most rocker-ish or the most passionate that we've heard of Tim up to this point, and yet he dials it back. Once we get to that really amazing play out, instead of carrying it through to the next level, he stops it and we go into the last track of The Distant Summers, and I wish that he had continued it on, because as much as I like Distant Summers, it was a really interesting way to end it off. It doesn't really go too far, and it feels very much like, say, the Afterglow or one of those tracks that, I don't know, after what we had been through, it was an interesting way of ending it. It's not necessarily a bad way, and I do thoroughly enjoy it. It's just an interesting way of capping it all off, being a summary of the music that we've had up to this point. So overall, this album was a fantastic treat, and one that came out of nowhere for me. Even though it hugs a lot with what has been presented in the past, I enjoy the kind of revising it here. I wish that it would have been moved a little bit forward. I wish that some of the songs had developed a little bit more, but overall it was a great time completely. I have to say, you've got to download this album once you find it. It is a great treat, one that I highly recommend, and one that you should definitely check out. So that's about it from me. What did you guys think of this new album from Tim Bowness? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, let me know by commenting below. And thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.
And they can make the noise.
It was actually the second song of the Moonchild. It was actually the second song of the Moonshot Man-Child. Moonshot Man-Child. Yeah, I know. It's like I heard one of the hardest tongue twisters was Irish wristwatch.
Yes.
I still can't say it.
Wristwatch.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't even say it fast.
Oh,
It's
no.
like Irish wristwatch.
Irish rush.
Irish wristwatch. I just end up saying Irish wristwatch.
More Irish, something.
Oh, man.